I had Gemma Collins, celebrity psychic, do a reading on me and was shocked by what he told me. Could I be a believer? Chris Riley has worked with TOWIE cast members such as Gemma Collins, and Love Island stars from Maura Higgins to Siânnise Fudge. I'm a cynic at heart. As much as I'd like to believe in mystical powers, I cannot really bring myself to do so, which is why my first ever psychic reading blew my mind. I don't believe in ghosts or witch powers, and before meeting with psychic medium to the stars Chris Riley, who reads for Gemma Collins and Maura Higgins to name a few, I had never had anything such as my fortune predicted or tarot cards read. Perhaps it's part of human nature to want to believe in more, whether that's through religion or faith in something spiritual, but in the modern age of science, we try to find logic to explain the unexplainable. Before my reading, I'd have said psychics read your body language or ask leading questions to find out those secrets you haven't told anyone, but now I'm not sure I can explain it all away. As part of an interview with Colchester psychic Chris, who is known for working with celebrities such as Gemma Collins and other TOWIE cast and reality TV celebs, I had a session where he did a reading for me so I could see him in action. What I wasn't expecting was to come away from the experience questioning my previously held opinions. I won't be revealing all the details as some information is very personal, however, I'll share as much as I can to share the full experience. Chris begins my reading, which we did over Zoom, by jotting down my name on a piece of paper, as he says this gives him a name vibration and it gives him a feeling for what he's looking for. He then begins to tell me what he sees me doing in the next 6 months or so, suggesting there may be an opportunity for me somewhere in London. Nothing too specific, but he's certain I'll be heading there for a reason. How exciting. After this slightly vague beginning, he asks me out of the blue, "Who is Charlie or Charlotte to you?" I'm slightly taken aback as that's my mum's name and her nickname. Yes, something he could have guessed after stalking my social media, but nevertheless, I'm surprised. What he goes on to next is far more surprising, as he asks if I'm looking to move, then tells me not to tell him anything while he thinks. Little does he know I've recently moved to Essex after breaking off a long-term relationship, something I have kept private among family and friends and not shared online anywhere. He then tells me he can see a break between you and someone, asking if I've moved somewhere temporarily, which I have. He then proceeds to hit the nail on the head on several facts which are pretty eerie, as well as telling me some personality traits and behavior patterns about myself that I know to be true. His next question is very out of the blue, asking if I've ever been to America. I worked in New York for 2 summers back when I was at university in 2016 and 2017. And Chris proceeds to ask me about a conversation I recently had with someone about it. This rocks me as it was a very private conversation which wouldn't have been shared anywhere, and I fail to see how my body language might indicate any of it, if that's what the cynics might be thinking here. He's got it 100% correct in a manner which confuses the hell out of me, because how could he know that? We go on to discuss someone close to me and somehow, Chris guessed something incredibly private about them, which I'd say only a handful of people on the planet know. I'm unsure how fancy guesswork could lead him onto this, and while he then says something next that I disagree with, I'm amazed how he got there. Down the line, we discuss my relationship and he has a few observations for me, some of which he draws from his own personal experiences, and we move on to the realm of what the future might hold in store for me, and while not all of it is stuff I resonated with, it is still quite powerful. One part which shocked me was when he asked about losing someone in the family and was seeing a certain number of people around them and how they died. His first thought is slightly off, but when I connect the dots I realize who he is talking about, and it's a spooky observation, another one which wouldn't be found online anywhere. It's regarding dementia, and while there are a great number of people who have lost relatives to this, it's a rather wild guess to pluck out of thin air for a stranger. Throughout this entire experience, I felt around 80% of what he said was uncanny in its truth, while the rest didn't quite hit the spot for me. How could he know certain things about me, my family, my lived experiences, when some of it hasn't been verbalized outside of a private conversation? I'm still mystified by a lot of it, even after watching the recording of our reading back and giving myself some time to distance myself from the emotions it stirred up. As a former cynic, I am astonished to say I think Chris has got some sort of gift. Precisely what I don't know, But speaking off the record, we discussed some of his personal life and things he's divined for himself, further convincing me he is no phony or fraud. While there are surely rip-offs out there who will tell you anything you want to hear for a pretty penny, I do believe there are some people who can sense more. When it comes to silly paranormal documentaries of Americans hunting ghosts and screaming when a bat flies out of an abandoned church, I'm still convinced they are having us on. Don't sign me up for witchcraft lessons to create a love spell, or bring me healing crystals to put on my windowsill, but take me out of the firm non-believer category and put me in the not quite sure one instead.